नशीनों उठ बैठो, वो वक्त करीबा पहुंचा है, जब तख्त गिराए जाएंगे, जब ताज उछाले जाएंगे। है खाक नशीनों उठ बैठो, वो वक्त करीबा पहुंचा है, जब तख्त गिराए जाएंगे, जब ताज उछाले जाएंगे। अब टूट गिरेंगी जंजीरें, अब जिंदानों की खैर नहीं, जो दरिया झूम के उठे हैं तिनको से निकाले जाएंगे। अब टूट गिरेंगी जंजीरें, अब जिंदानों की खैर नहीं, जो दरिया झूम के उठे हैं तिनको से निकाले जाएंगे। दरबार वतन में जब एक दिन सब जाने वाले जाएंगे, कुछ अपनी सजा को पहुंचेंगे, कुछ अपनी सजा ले जाएंगे।
My name is Ashil, and I have a question that can the Lokpal bill improve the conditions of the poor and illiterated people?
Lokpal bill by itself, let me not give false hopes. Lokpal bill by itself directly may not be in a position to help the poor and the illiterate. For that there are other agencies are there. Lokpal and the Lokayuktas of the state can keep an eye on the functioning of these institutions which are especially earmarked for the rural poor, or for that matter urban poor, and try to find some relief for them, both illiterates and others. But let's not have any hope that Lokpal directly can look into the problem. These problems should be looked after by the agencies locally available. For example, in a rural area, you have a panchayat for every 5,000 to 6,000 people, an elected body. Crores of rupees are given to these bodies. Now, some voluntary organization, when you find that these illiterates, these poor are not in a position to ask, then some voluntary bodies, youngsters or students and others should take up the cause by going to the Right to Information Act, pick a village and say how much money has been received by the panchayat there, find out whether all those monies have been spent legitimately, and raise an issue. No, the account shows that they have spent this much crores of rupees on drinking water. What is the drinking water facilities they have done? Or drainage, electricity. All this you can find out. Let me tell you, the fraud that goes on in these village panchayat levels is fantastic. It's equal to the frauds of other elite areas and we ourselves had a thing. There is one plan called Nirmala Yojana, the cleanliness part of it. The government of Karnataka in 2006 granted about 64 toilets to be built in a particular village. The original plan was you pay 1,500 or something, the rest of it will be by the government, the panchayat, and they build a septic tank and the toilet and everything else. This particular village, funds were given for 64 toilets being built. We got a complaint that the toilets have not been built. So I sent two officers. When they went there, the secretary and the president of the panchayat met them, and they said, no, sir, it's not wholly correct. Is it? Then what? How many are built? 2 toilets were built. Where? One in my house, one in the president's house. Hello, Namma. Generally, ee riti ondu bhavane idre, mosa madudu ಏನು ತಪ್ಪಿಲ್ಲ, ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬರಿಗೆ ಅನ್ಯಾಯ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಲ್ಲೂ ಏನೂ ತಪ್ಪಿಲ್ಲ. ನಮ್ಮ ಕೈಗೆ ಹಣ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ಕದ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರು ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಮನೋಭಾವನೆ ನಾವು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ರೆ, ಆರ್ಡಿನರಿ ಪೀಪಲ್, ಯು ಸಿ, ಗ್ರಾಮ ಪಂಚಾಯತ್, when the Panchayat Raj Act was enacted, it was enacted with a very good view in mind. Mahatma Gandhi said, take administrations to doorsteps of the people. Don't force the people to come to cities to solve their problem. So Panchayat Raj Act was enacted. For 5,000, 6,000 population, one Panchayat Raj. Then a Taluk Panchayat. Then a Zilla Panchayat. Like that, these panchayats were created. Today I feel from the assessment of what's happening in these panchayats, what we have taken to the village level is corruption and politics. Beyond that, we have not taken anything, because I have certainly known, at least in this part of the country, there was not so much of politics and there was not so much of corruption in the village level. There was no opportunity for corruption there. And in politics, I think one family always stood by a particular party. If the elder decided we'll go and vote for this party, everybody went. This Panchayat Raj Act, what it has done is, made reservation in the Panchayat President post, and you find daughter-in-law fighting against his mother-in-law, two sister-in-laws fighting against them to become the president of the Panchayat. Now I got any number of instances I can give. So what have you done? You have introduced a political atmosphere in a house where there was no politics, except during election you go and vote. Today there is everyday politics in that house. Corruption, yes. Everybody gets to handle crores of rupees. I have not seen even in 10 rupees. Yeah. And the Panchayat Secretary is the only literate person there, highly literate, about third class or fourth class. And he keeps the account of it and all. And it's a natural instinct which tells you how to steal. Or you write in this thing, so many lakhs spent on drainage. You go and see, there is not even a gutter. Why? We have known of these things in Bangalore city. CAG has made saying, the previous 2 years before the BBMP elections were over, when it was under the government rule, 2,000 crores of rupees has been misused by the BBMP on roads which have been never constructed or never repaired. The defense put out was, all these roads were repaired. The next day, the metro walas came and dug it. I mean, we are in a society where the moment you get an opportunity to sit in a chair and make some money, I think your entire honesty level changes. One chance there, Marana.
I think this particular point, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಷನ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಸೀಟ್ ಕೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ದೇ ಗೋ ಟು ದ ದೇ ಲಾಬಿ ಲೀಡರ್ ಹತ್ರ ಒಂದು ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲರ್ ಸೇಯಿಂಗ್ ಇದೆ, ಸರ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೇನು ಕೆಲಸ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಒಂದು ಸೀಟ್ ಕೊಡಿಸಿ ಅಂತ. That becomes a profession. I think some more young minds here would like to ask some questions. Yes.
You raised the question. I was just thinking, and this is probably not directly related, but I have read a few reports about the Sarva Siksha Abhiyan and what a beautiful program that is itself, wherein wherein the political parties or the government has tried to get education to the doorsteps of each village. So this probably grants the right to education to a lot of small kids in these villages, and that was the objective of the drafters of our constitution. And finally, the kids are in a position to get education. Money is allotted to this program, and finally the report I read said that the money which was granted to construct schools, not even 10% of the money is used to construct those particular schools. And schools are constructed, the facilities are so bad that the walls have fallen down, the roof has fallen down, the kids have been injured, and ultimately they haven't got what they require. So even here, the purpose is very humane, but the politicians haven't even seen as in the concept of humanity itself is lost. So though I see a bill coming up, a bill which might ultimately end up questioning everybody else, but how far will even the implementation of this bill ultimately lead to a better system of monitoring, or will there be some sort of we have the audacity to hope, but ultimately will there be some result or Something which we could all look up to and say, okay, what we fought for has actually happened.
Well, I think the only answer I can give it to you is I'm optimistic. So should you be. Unlimited pessimism leads to cynicism. As a young lady, I don't think you should get into that track because it affects your future plans. Optimism in certain degree is a good thing, but reality is something we got to see as and when it happens. There is no institution today. Central government ministers have not been supervised or investigated. Scams after scams are coming. 2G, CWG, then in Karnataka, the ISRO scam of 2 lakhs crores. Likewise in different places which involve the central government. If there is no supervisory body, you can always say, well, there is nobody to look after, so it's happening, so the police will take care of that in the due course. Now there is a body which is empowered and trusted and obligated to look into these charges. Why should we think that it won't bring about a change? In Karnataka, you have a Lokayukta. Now, might not have made things fully, or maybe partially also, I don't take this thing. But to some extent, Times of India wrote about 3-4 days back, Lokayukta Karnataka is the most feared institution in Karnataka. At least that much thing is there. Think of Lokpal, what it could be with the powers that it has. Think of Lokpal indicting a minister, a senior secretary, and others. Look at it that way. Don't think nothing will happen. As I said, nothing will happen in every field. They close down everything. Why waste so much of money? Roads are not constructed properly. So let's take away PWD. Crimes are not reducing, it's increasing. Let's close down the police department. Then which is the department that will... There isn't a department which is flawless, which can be said that it has done its duties perfectly and there is no complaint against that department. There is no department. Maybe it's the same of human beings also. You may not be able to find a perfect human being in all respects, in all angles, in the view of everybody. Everything changes. Therefore, I would definitely appeal to all you youngsters to have a positive look. A look which says, okay, you can't change it, I will change it. I'll do everything possible to change this. One day, as I was telling you in Davangere, when I read that news report about the thing, one man called me from Belgaum district. He said, Hegde avare, ಆಡಳಿತ ಬೇಕು ರಾಜಕೀಯ ಬೇಡ. This is the views of people. They want administration, but they don't want politics. Well, that is possible. We can have abolish all political institutions and appoint only bureaucrats. Then you don't have a voice, I don't have a voice. Instead of the chief minister, there will be a chief secretary. So everything is done by the administrators. Then what's the meaning of the word democracy? You can call it bureaucracy. No. You have to look forward for better. For that you should become a better person. And the gentleman said, how many of us can honestly say that we have not paid bribe? Well, I can say, there is a reason. Not my character or my honesty, that is the reason. You start giving bribe after you become a teen, when you want a motorbike license or when you jump a light and you get this thing, Well, I need not have paid it because my father was a High Court judge at that time. Therefore, police would not interfere with you. Any office you go, you will get the better treatment. I got my passport in one day. Because of that, I had no opportunity to give bribe. Thereafter, I myself started holding posts. That's a different idea. That's why when I say I can swear before any God that I have not paid any bribe, that is because the social circumstances were different. All of you don't stand in that footing. But if you can have the courage to say, I will not pay bribe. I have known of people who have said, I will not pay bribe. There is a website which says ipaidbribe.com.
Yes, the most ridiculous thing, where they celebrate the paying of bribe. That should be banned.
I myself mentioned it's an admission of a crime and you are liable for prosecution.
So, what about last question, sir? What about election reforms? Parties are talking about state funding of elections.
Yes, certainly. I am fully agreement with it. But the first thing should be voting must be made mandatory and punishable. Non-voting for good reasons. If the man abstains, couldn't go for voting, all right. But others, if they don't vote, then it should be made punishable. Because we talk about undesirable people getting elected. We talk about good people not contesting. I went on a campaign when the BBMP election started that everybody must vote. And I was surprised to read an article written by a person I don't remember, nor do I want to mention. It's an article says, questions, why should I vote? Netaji, why should I vote? I don't get water. I get packaged water to drink. I don't get water to bathe. I get a tanker. I don't get regular electricity. I got generator. I don't believe in a law and order system. I got my own security. Tell me, Netaji, what is that I need for me? Why should I vote? You see, there are many people who have this mindset. They think everything like the bureaucrats and the politicians think. When any suggestion comes, their first thought is, what is in it for me? This gentleman who wrote this article is thinking like that. Voting, what is in it for me? Voting is not something for you. Voting is for the society, for the administration that you are governed. Take Bangalore. 44% was the average voting in Bangalore city in the BBMP election. 25% of the vote can be bought. Alcohol, saris, money. 25% one wins and 44% this thing. It doesn't require much more votes to this thing, to win. If the same thing had happened with 90% voting, then the things would have been different. That purchased vote would have no influence on the ultimate result. So, but we the elite, I come temporarily because I am staying in a government house from a beautiful extension in Bangalore, Sadashiv Nagar. Do you know the voting was about 19% in that ward? And one MD gynecology doctor lady who stood from Jan Shakti or one of those parties, she got 400 votes. This is the mindset of the elite. They are the first one to write articles like this. Netaji, why should I vote? I replied it in another thing. I said, does your cook get drinking water at his house? Does your Mali get electricity in his house? Does your security man get security at home? I said, it's not for you, it's for the society. There should be some administration. An administration which is compelled to give certain basic facilities. Therefore, voting is a must. Government funding of this thing is another thing. I would say, how far it's practical is for the concerned election commission or others. See the constituency and you assess how much this thing is necessary. Money is necessary. You take that money from the candidate. Then you say, I'll give you petrol for so many cars. The cars will contain the stickers of our election commission. So much banner, so much money for volunteers. Nothing beyond that, and if anything is found being misused beyond that, this thing, disqualify. And the third, the most important thing is, give the right to the voters to recall those people who have not done anything in the thing. That's the most important thing. Let's take a progress report from them. How many times have you attended the parliament? How many times you have signed and walked out? How many times have you sat on a dharna? How many times have you spoken in the parliament, or in the assembly, or in the corporation? You have not done anything? Give the right of recall. It's not something new. There are countries which have the right to recall. These are my suggestions for election reforms.
Would you also advocate an option of giving the voter the option to say none of the above? Let's say
that according to me would amount to not voting at all. That may not help, except the fact that the person who says none of the above will go to the booth and put it. The other man just sits at home and says none of the above, I am not coming. Therefore, that may not be practical.
No, but it gets strength only if those are also counted.
And what do? Who do you elect?
No, you don't elect.
Then?
None of the people, I have used it. In Bangalore, of course, I had to argue a lot with the guy in the booth. But I used it. He said it will go into scrap. I mean,
Yes, ballot paper will be rejected.
But one day, we hope that that will be counted. And then if there are more none of the aboves than the guy who got elected, then he doesn't stand to, represent us anymore.
Well, I agree to disagree with you, but anyway, all suggestions are welcome.
So there has to be a re-election if there are more none of the above.
I think there's a lot of issues. The debate will continue. We have been here since 11:10 and it's almost 1:15. 2 hours. ಅದು ಹೇಗೆ ಹೋಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. But one thing is sure, we always believe in change and one man can definitely make it. Leadership doesn't mean that you have large followers. ಹಿಂದೆ ನೋಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಮುಂದೆ ಹೋಗೋ ಜಯಮಾನ ಇಲ್ಲ. If you have strength in your conviction, ಏನ್ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ತೋರಿಸ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಣ್ಣಾ ಹಜಾರೆ ಅವರು, ಜಸ್ಟಿಸ್ ಸಂತೋಷ್ ಹೆಗ್ಡೆ ಅವರು. I think I must thank him for his time, and you are definitely motivated all of us here. And definitely this meeting will bring in more Annas, Anna Hazares, because in South Canada, the moment you call Anna, it means something else. I'm not.
Not only in South Canada, Maharashtra.
Anyway, bye. Anyway, thank you very much. I think I must thank SGM Law College principal, the Business Management College principal, Mr. Devraj, for associating with this particular live program, and Karkera brothers for freely telecasting it live today, because I think everybody has put in their bits, and it's not a commercial event. The V4 news will be with people, and this is our small contribution to Janadvani. And once again, thank you everybody for assembling, and especially Justice Santhosh Hegde for his wonderful time, and we wish your participation in Jan Lokpal bill will definitely bring in the right kind of changes. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
खाक नशीनों उठ बैठो